Welcome to the Rachel and Cassandra Show. Before we begin, our disclaimer. These bitches sound like they're giving legal and financial advice, but I promise you they're not.
Normally, Cassandra does the intro, so this is uncomfortable space for me. But I am here without Cassandra today, but our goal with this show is always to bring you value and raise the level of our industry. So whether you are a client, a home buyer, a home seller, someone who's thinking about getting a real estate license, a newly licensed agent, a broker, whoever you are, however real estate is alive in your world right now, our goal is to add value, bring you information that can help you. And I firmly believe that we can get information by listening to other people's stories. So in the interest of that, I have a wonderful guest here with me today. He is a legend in the community.
Oh, quit lying.
In my mind, he's an OG. Seriously. For I want to say my generation of realtors, you are an OG. Like, you were there before we got here. You've been here forever. I feel like you know this industry inside and out in a way that only comes with time on task over time. You've been in the trenches. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me today Mr. Aaren Currie.
I appreciate that. What's up, guys? I'm super excited to be here. Pretty stoked.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of respect for you and the business that you've built. So it's I feel like each time we get a chance to talk, there's a ton of good information that comes out. And I think, it's doing it. It's doing it. And here we are. We're
Absolutely.
doing it on a podcast.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate your willingness to come and share the transparency that so many of us bring in our corner of the world. I think goes a long way to actually doing the elevating of our industry.
Yeah.
And keeping our profession professional while allowing us all to advocate for our respective clients. It's so important, right?
Yes.
But I'd like to start, if you don't mind,
Sure.
with your story, because I called you the OG. Does anybody else know why? How long have you been doing this, Aaren?
So I got licensed in 1990. I was 18 years old. Yeah.
How old?
18.
Wow.
And now that I'm 26 and been doing this 8 years, so I turned.
For those of you who can't see and you're just listening, that's not the truth.
Yeah. So I turned 50 this year, but at 21, I earned my broker's license. You had to have 3 more additional classes in addition to the real estate license. You had to have transacted at least 18 transactions, and then you go take a harder state test, and boom, if you pass, you got your broker's license.
So it sounds like you were pretty driven to succeed right out the gate. If you at 18 were a licensee,
Yep.
and then 3 years later, as fast as you can,
Right.
you went for that broker tag.
Yeah. I just thought over my life, if I could show people that accomplishment, those, and it's licenses, right? So
Yes.
40-hour class, pass the test, boom, you're a realtor.
Yes.
90-hour class, pass the test, boom, you're a broker, as
Yes.
long as you did 18 deals. But with those designations, those state licenses, it said to the general public, if I brought it up, that here, I'm a professional. I went and did these things, and I did it as early as possible so that I could say when I turned 50, hey, I got licensed at 18 and my broker's license at 21.
Yeah. So you've carried the broker's license the whole time.
The whole time. Yep. My first year in real estate, I made $1,200.
Nice.
Yeah. I worked selling rainbow vacuums.
Wow. Is that a competitor of the Kirby vacuum?
It is. Yeah. Excuse me, ma'am. Aaren Currie here.
Is this while you're selling real estate?
Yes.
That back in the day.
So everything.
Because you only made $1,200.
Right. First year. I mean, it was hard. When I was 18, I looked like I was 12. I was 4'10" and 110 pounds. My wife and I could trade pants, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. So not much has changed except for our pant size. But so I worked at a deli. I made sandwiches. I did heating and cooling. There's just, you have to pay your bills.
Yes.
While you're serving your time. And people say, oh, you didn't go to college. Well, I did go to college. It's just I didn't go to a technical college or university. I went out on the street and, made sandwiches for people Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And then on Saturdays, I was out knocking doors or calling a FISBO and trying to learn my craft. Yeah. And that was college. That's something that unless you do it, you have no idea how to get past just the initial fear of knocking on somebody's door or calling somebody and getting them to say, yeah, we'll receive you. Come on in and talk to us.
Yeah. That is still terrifying.
It is.
Even if you've done it 100 times or 1,000 times.
Yep. It's not terrifying to me anymore. I'd gladly do it like this minute.
Yeah.
But
so how long? So you're saying you had multiple jobs at once over the course of the first few years?
I would say it was from being 18 through like 21 or 22, even when I received my broker's license, because you have to pay your bills.
Yes.
You've got your rent or your mortgage, you've got lights, you've got heat. In the beginning.
But Aaren, real estate is so lucrative. It's easy money.
It is. Yeah. You just show up to work and then you go home and there's checks in the mail.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's how it works.
So sarcasm. That is the public perception.
Right.
And to be full transparency, that's what I thought too.
Yep. Everybody
which is what
does.
led me to the door.
In the brokers, right? You think, oh, I'm going to get into real estate. So you go take a class and somebody tells you how glamorous it is. And
Yes.
look at that BMW in the parking lot. And that guy's only been doing it for 3 years and he's just knocking it out of the park. And there's a Cadillac over here. And they've been doing it 2 years and they're
And you're a
crushing
local
it.
celebrity. You've got
Yes.
your face on the signs around town.
It's so simple. All you got to do is get your license and
Yeah.
boom, you're making money.
But the reality is,
It is
3 jobs.
Yes,
In
90
the
hours a
beginning.
week.
yes.
It's a lot of ups and downs. It's trying to explain to your family why you've got to cut back a little bit because you didn't get that closing to happen. Buyer got cold feet and they walked on it, even though you put 120 hours into showing them houses, going through an inspection, having an appraisal,
Yes.
and all of a sudden somebody left a wood pile. And it's a big fight over whether that wood pile stays or goes.
Yeah, and
they
who's responsible for it.
Out
Yes.
of principle, we'll forget it. I'm not buying it. And you go, oh, there goes my whole month's income. So it is probably one of the hardest things that I could ever choose to do.
So let's take a moment and talk about why you chose to do this.
But it's also one of the most rewarding.
Of course.
Yep. I chose to do it because I came out of Howell High School, class of 1990.
Class of 93 over here.
Nice. With a 1.97 grade point average.
Ouch. The measurement in the 90s was, what is your GPA? I think it's still strong today. People are now, my peers are bragging about their kids' GPAs being 4 point something. And I'm like, how does that math flush out?
Yeah.
So with a 1 point something,
1.97.
Yeah, you must have felt a certain way.
I had an F plus.
Yeah. How did that feel?
It felt like, yay, I'm out of high school. Now let me go tackle
School's
the world.
not for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
You can be a
that's
good
it.
student, and that only means that you're a good student.
That's right. So where are the opportunities? You can go get your insurance license. Where are the opportunities if you want to tend towards like a white collar thing? There's tons of opportunities, especially right now in blue collar. If you want to be a plumber, an electrician, a heating and cooling person, hugely in demand. You can make $100,000 a year, take care of your family, have a great life with a pension.
Yes.
But if if you're one of those people who are like, well, I want to try a white collar thing, a sales thing, where do you go? You can go to work for Edward Jones. You could get your insurance license, or you can get your real estate license. Not knowing, like we had talked about, what goes into it, because it's just immaturity. You haven't been out in the world.
Right.
So even though it looks glorious and glamorous and easy, it's a fight, and it's a fight. It's been a fight every day from the day I woke up at 18 with my license to this morning at 50.
So how has the fight changed over time? Short of, like, you got a license, you made a little bit of money, not enough to live on. 3 years later, you got a bigger, badder license. And how long did it take? What did it take to get what? And maybe we should talk about where you are now. Who are you?
There's so many
You're not
things.
just an agent slinging houses.
You know, a book was a book back in 1990. It's still a book today.
Yeah.
The
What does that
differences
mean?
are, at that time, it was bound in either a soft cover or hardcover. It had words that you read out of that book. And today, what has changed is it may be on your phone that you're reading that book. It may be on a iPad that you're reading a book. It may be an audio book because those technologies are available to us, but it's still a book. In real estate's very much the same way. When we started in, there wasn't this technology. The cool agent in the office had the bag phone. Right there was the baller.
Right.
They got this bag and a strap, and
Status.
and you knew they were crushing it. There were MLS books at that time with a yellow cover, and you weren't allowed to give it out. You know, it was yours, and that's how you provided information. When you wanted to show a house in Brighton, you had to pre-schedule your appointment, go pick up the key, go to the house with the key, unlock it, show your customer, and then return the key. And man, if you didn't return the key, you were slaughtered. So
was this a one house at a time showing world?
very much, unless you pre-planned and went and got 3 keys the day in advance, and you could because they were available. Some weren't available if it was a hot property.
That sounds rough.
It was rough. We used carbon papers rather than the computer. That the people are like, we got to have this place. So you pull out your carbon copy on the hood of your car and started filling out the offer so that it could be signed and you could deliver it as you return the key. So like my book analogy, real estate's the same now as it was then. People still look for houses. They still buy houses. We're still the conduit in between. Our job isn't to necessarily sell anybody a house.
Agreed, 100%.
Our job's to be the most efficient from the first point of contact through closing. And that's what makes you successful. The technology's changed, and you have to keep up with it or you get washed out of it. And it's really that simple. It's still a relationship business. You know, if I'm looking for a car, I can look for 3 days across the whole country at cars. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go to the dealership and sit in it. I'm going to feel the steering wheel and see how the heated seats work and make sure that it's got electric start and all these things. And then I'm going to buy the car. But I wouldn't just buy it online necessarily and have it shipped without having some knowledge of that specific vehicle. And that's why we still do what we do. And in my opinion, I don't foresee it changing in my lifetime.
So I'm trying to decide whether or not we go back in time.
How'd you get started?
Find out what. I bought a house. Terry Gill was my real estate agent.
Nice.
And I found this house and I fell in love with it. And the joke is I never stopped house shopping.
Nah, we don't.
And that was the hook. So prior to that, I had this, I don't know, there was this lady who sold my parents' house and I was like 14 or 15 years old. And I just thought she was so cool. And that got in my head. But I always thought, no, that's too risky, too scary. I can't do it. You know, the mental chatter kept me from ever pursuing it because I was busy doing what I thought I was supposed to do with my life. That's a different episode.
You were selling Kirby vacuums?
Yeah, no, I was not. I was going to school and raising a family.
Nice. What was your sales experience?
Prior to real estate, I sold telecommunications. I was also a bartender for 20 years. And I think that's really where I cut my teeth on learning people.
I'll bet.
I loved it. Yep. I loved doing it. It also broke my heart because I saw people at their best celebrating and I saw people at their worst. And they really just needed like a verbal hug. That's the best way I can explain it. But you know, you can only go so far as a bartender while trying to change the world and raise a family. So bought a house, never stopped shopping, and here we are today.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's still a relationship business.
Absolutely.
So what
100%.
You learned as a bartender
yes,
still holds true today in real estate.
absolutely.
That's kind of my thought too.
So let's go back in time. So
Okay.
you got your broker's license because at what point, I don't want to get a summary out of you. I want to know what the next thing you did was, because you're what? Okay. So you're knocking on doors. You made $1,200, but you're like, no, I'm tenacious and persistency. I'm going to get there.
Right.
So you're doing more and more volume.
Yep.
And then what happened?
So, even before that, first year I made $1,200. I'm the big realtor, because you get licensed and then you get a commission check. And maybe the first one was so simple and you're like, oh,
That's the worst.
I am going to kill this. I can't believe it.
This is easy.
Yeah, everybody doesn't do that. And then I sold a house and it fell through just as quick as I put it together. And I was punched in the face with humility. And so the next year, I thought, okay, I am going to start to learn this. And I really started studying like Floyd Wickman and scripts and those types of things, and did door knocking and did those phone calls we're talking about, because at that time when you're trying to learn, you are looking for all those little shiny gadgets that are going to get you there. So I really, Zig Ziglar and Floyd Wickman, man, I just ate them every day. And then I would go, like I said, in the evenings and weekends and either call FSBOs or go door knocking around neighborhoods.
And you're walking up to a house, knocking on the door and saying, hey, have you thought about selling your home?
Yep. Hi, my name's Aaren. I'm here today because I'm in real estate, and I wondered if you knew anybody that was thinking of buying or selling.
Simple as that.
Nope. Leave us alone. Very good. Have a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name's Aaren. I'm here selling, and house to house. And it was completely intimidating. And it was so scary, but it wasn't even as close as to the conversation I had with the person on Saturday about being in real estate and talking to them about a house, and then having them come to the deli and I'm there making their sandwich.
I did not even think about that.
And now they're like,
rough.
Oh, yeah, right. Or at least in my mind,
Yes,
that's what I was
can
thinking.
totally see that.
So I'm like, no, I'm gonna pay my bills. Jenny worked too, and she was.
And Jenny is your wife?
Yes, Jenny's my wife, and she would babysit. And I said, and we made a covenant. I said, look, let me do this real estate. I know your dad's telling you that I should go to work doing heating and cooling, or I should go to college, or I should but let me do this. And I promise I will be successful at it. And then you decide, sky's the limit. You want to be a stay-at-home mom? You want to go to college? You want to, whatever you want, you've got it. Give me this period of time to get successful.
How long did you give yourself?
There was no limit put on it.
Okay. You were just like, I will go all in.
Yep.
And 100%. We will make it.
There was no, if I fail.
Okay.
It's not in
I can so relate to that.
It's not in my DNA. So the next year I made $12,000, $1,000 a month.
That's huge.
It was.
That's
we lived
exponential.
in a single wide trailer behind the mobile station off of Highland Road. And
so how was that, living in a trailer selling houses?
It was good. It was brand new. My son was born. And that was really the tipping point when you have a life to provide for and take care of. It was like, okay, I said I wouldn't fail, but now I'm looking into these little babies' eyes, and I have got to run with this. So third year, I made $24,000.
So you're doubling.
Yep.
Well, the first year, you way more than double.
1,200, 12,000, 24. Yep.
Nice.
And by the fourth year, I think I was up to like 48. And still, from my wife's side of the family, Jenny's side of the family, they're, you should work with your hands, you should make an income, you should And I'm hearing this for 3 or 4 years.
Get a real job.
Yeah. And I love them. They're terrific people. And now they're like, oh my gosh.
That always, we'll pause and address that. I find that kind of interaction with family always comes from love.
Yep.
And it is very similar to if you've ever shown a house where dad comes along for the inspection.
Right.
He's busy going,
Yep.
these windows are drafty and the floor is creaky and this is too big or too not right and you shouldn't buy it because it's risky.
Yeah.
And they're literally just trying to protect their kid.
Right. Not only
Right.
that, but this is $285,000. I bought my house in 1973
For
for
sure.
$53,000. What are you doing?
For sure. So here's Jenny's dad
Yeah.
trying to protect her
Right.
in
And
that same way.
get me motivated and make, be a man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So by the time that I made like 48,000, which was average wages, for an employee, maybe above average wages for an employee at that time, I I took my tax returns and put them up on the fridge. And then we had dinner and he's like, oh, okay. And there wasn't really another word said since then. But now, they're in awe. They're like, I can't believe what you've accomplished and achieved. We are so proud of you.
You're touching on something really important, I think, which is you built it.
I built
It's
it.
not like you went to a job and somebody said, hey, we'll give you money in exchange for this. It's like you had to build something and it's based entirely on you.
Yes.
And your performance. And you talk about it being a people business. This is your reputation.
Yep.
And you're doing it in a community. So you're a known entity. And the more you do it, the more you're a known entity.
Yeah. I never looked at that. I always just went to work. And you guys, the whole crew of this new community coming through real estate have kind of drawn me into it because I was always the lone wolf. I was just, I'm going to sell my houses. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do this every day. I don't want to hear what anybody else
Yep.
says.
Head down, go to work,
You got it.
do what's in front of you. I can relate to that too.
Yep.
We joke, you and I,
Yeah.
about how, I don't know, for as long, I've only done this 9 years. This is my 9th year with a license, but it's astonishing to me that it took me so long to forge a relationship with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like I felt like I knew, I get all tripped up in language because I don't mean anything by any of this, but I felt like I knew who all the players were. And then I'd see this Aaren Currie name sometimes on houses I was showing, but I had never met you.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the social things and all,
No.
and then I don't know. Now I'm like, how do you not know who Aaren Currie is?
And I didn't know who Aaren Currie was because
Oh.
there was transition, right? At 18 through 35, I was just a guy selling a few houses.
Yeah. So
And
you're a
then-
salesperson with a broker license. Maybe
Right.
that's interesting.
And there were real players. There was the Carol Schurston and the Ann McDonald, who, at that time was 70 and did $10 million a year, and I'm doing 2 or 3. And there was, Will Steinmetz and all of these players throughout the community, names that have passed on now.
Yeah.
Um,
Will Steinmetz is still around. No, he's not?
No.
Did he pass away?
He did. I'm sorry to put that right
Oh,
on
I
you
did not
during the
know that.
podcast. Yeah.
No, that's,
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That really bums me out.
There's,
I learned how to do some things when I had to go against Will Steinmetz
Yeah.
and to do it with class.
Yes. Yeah, which is all these personalities we deal with. It becomes very difficult at certain times. But
Yes.
going back to that, I was a nobody. And so I never recognized, because my head was down and I didn't go to the social events, how my name had transitioned in the industry.
Right.
And I just never thought about
Yeah,
it.
you're busy going to work.
Yep. But now with the course that I've charted, I'm trying to change some of that and become more recognizable and more accessible.
Can we talk about that little piece of beautiful language? The course that I've charted.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Um,
And what a wonderful, whatever it is that you do with your life, what a wonderful idea to steal, to chart a course. Because you're going to end
Well,
up
thanks.
somewhere.
yeah,
I love this.
we do. If you get in a car and start it and start driving, you could just wander aimlessly or you could chart a course. The only way to get there is to chart that course.
Yeah.
So
Pick the destination and start driving that way.
I probably stole that from somebody, but
Well, all the good things are just recirculated good ideas
Yeah.
with new language or new references or new analogies. But let's talk about the course that you've charted, because I'm just going to repeat back to you what I think I just heard. You were an agent with a broker's license, and I feel like what I see in front of me now is a broker. And
Yes.
it's a little bit different.
Yes, I am a broker, but I'm a full-time selling broker, which is, I'm not sure that there's other brokers in our county that run at the pace, and that's no better, no worse.
No, but it gives you a different viewpoint.
Yeah.
How I can see how that would be, but how do you think that would give you a different perspective?
Because you're on the ground, you're doing the work. You are the one who's losing a deal or putting a deal back together. And, you don't pay the mechanic to twist the screw. You pay him to know which way to twist it.
Yep.
Well, if you're not twisting screws, you don't know. You may have done it in the past and you have some experience, but that was 3 years ago. That was 5 years ago. This is today. This is today's market, and this is what's happening within our community.
Yes, that's
So,
well put.
let me walk it back even further. I started it with Sally Witt. At that time, it was Better
Love
Homes
Sally
and Gardens. Yep. So from 0 to 3 years, I was with Sally at Better Homes and Gardens. And then a guy came in from South Lyon, Randy Clark, who was opening a RE/MAX office. And so we opened from
You were at RE/MAX?
Yeah. I was on the advisory council at RE/MAX.
Oh my gosh.
I went to the big hoorahs, the whole thing.
Oh my God, you sound like me.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I hear myself in these stories. How long were you at RE/MAX?
So I was at RE/MAX for 2 or 3 years.
So year 4 to 6-ish?
Yeah. And they had come out and in the old Berman building, which they've just remodeled, they had put in a RE/MAX office. And so my mom and dad and I, the guy was out of South Lyon and he had sold some grocery stores and he was just flush with cash. And so we're like, oh, RE/MAX, this is the next best thing coming into town. We want to be with you. And he's like, all right. But things were moving slow. And so we offered to put up walls and do drywall and paint. And now we were going to get our own private office in a suite model real estate, office versus an old house where you had a desk. And this was a big deal. And you were with RE/MAX, and this was the next best thing.
That's a brand.
Yeah. So
heavy hitter.
then that was the time that my oldest son, Jacob, was born. And that was really what lit my fire. Not only making the transition, having a son, but this new franchise coming into town. Even though I didn't own it, I felt like, man, this guy, he's brought me in. I'm part of things. This is cool. And then it was like, maybe I was only there for 2 years, but at the end of the second year, there was a Christmas party. And it was an absolute compliment coming from him, but I'm sure when I tell you the story, you'll understand how it was received. He said, Aaren, I want to congratulate you for the sales that you've made this year. You should know that you have paid 100% of our office expense this year. And he was giving me a compliment.
Absolutely.
What I paid into the company, paid all of his bills. It didn't cost him anything.
That's lovely.
Yes.
And
But to me, it was like a punch square to the gut. And I was like, dude.
It's very akin to saying, you bought my yacht. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I got a new car. Check this out.
Thanks to you.
I want to get a better one if you guys could work harder.
I hear it too.
So it was there was another thing of humility. And I thought, this is nuts. I'm doing the work. I'm not getting the credit or calling my shots. I need to have my own brokerage. And so I went to my parents and I said, hey, we need to open our production. We're all doing like $5-6 million a year. And this is back in
Each?
1996. We started statewide. Yes.
96. Okay. So, and I'm going to take a minute just to say, because I was going to address this too. Your parents are both licensees as well.
Correct.
So
Dad's got a broker's license. Mom's a salesperson.
Got you. And because I was going to ask, why didn't you go to work for them right out the giddy up, but there was no brokerage to work for that your parents owned.
Correct. Yeah. My dad had owned a company before and he did not want to go back to being the boss.
He owned a real estate brokerage.
He owned an office supply in Livonia.
Oh, so, okay.
Yep.
He owned a business, did not like that role.
Right. He just wanted to call his own shots, make sales, get paid.
You guys are effectively a real estate team, one of the original real estate, not team, but you're doing business.
You'd have to know my parents.
Okay.
And I love them. They're great people. So I don't mean for this to come off the wrong way. But when I started into real estate at 18, my dad sat me down and said, "This is wonderful. Every father wants their son to follow in their footsteps. And I'm going to show you everything there is to know about real estate. I've been in sales my whole life. We're gonna craft you. I just have to give you a few rules before we get started." He said, your friends' parents, your aunts, your uncles, anybody that we may have talked to in the past are still our customers, and we don't share.
Wow.
So it was like,
So he's basically saying you have no database, you have no sphere, you have no contacts.
nope,
All the people you know
correct.
are mine.
Yep.
So go make some new relationships.
And I don't share.
And I don't share.
I'll go
This
on
is
an
your
appointment.
dad.
I'll go on an appointment with you, get an appointment. I'll go with you. I will teach you real estate, but we're not sharing. This is my money. I've worked too hard and long to develop my career, and I'm going to keep it.
So he showed you where the line is going to be.
Yes. No question. He does. Always.
Okay.
Still does to today.
So we're in 1996
Yep.
and we're at Remax. You just got told that you bought the boss a proverbial yacht.
Yep.
And you're like, yep, nope.
Right. So from there, I went to my parents and said, "Look, our production is there. I've door knocked. I've made cold calls. I have done expireds. I've developed my own business. I've got the guy who's 6 months out of bankruptcy with a VA certificate, who's living in his car and been down to Southfield to talk to Homestead Mortgage corporate offices to say, please give this man a loan." And me and Chris Mills got it through and sold him a house, and we got paid.
Good.
So that was the point where I went to my parents and said, "Okay, we've got this. We can do this, and let's open our own brokerage." And my dad said, I don't want to. I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Well, I just don't want to babysit. I don't want to manage. I like selling real estate. I don't want to do the people." And I said, "Well, I'll take that on. And then, we'll start small, we'll start slow, and we'll grow from there." And that's when we opened Statewide Real Estate.
So did you ultimately do that on your own, or did you do that with their backing and support? They just didn't want to be on front.
They, I want to say that they mostly funded it because I was a mess with my finances. I made a lot of money, but I always spent 110% of what I made.
I can relate to that
Because
too.
I was a cool real estate guy.
For sure.
So
Gotta buy all
convertible
the
Mustang,
accoutrement.
2-story house, big old 2500 Chevy, diesel, camper, the whole 9 yards.
And there's that, like if you've gone from scrimping and being poor to being flush with money, like the first thing you want to do is buy all those things that you couldn't do. This is making me cheer up because I can feel remembering being that poor.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was hard.
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times, but we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. So also at that time, I was like, "Jenny, this is a golden opportunity. Like, why don't you do mortgages? I'll list a house, I'll sell a house, you do the financing, and we'll earn 3 commissions off of 1 customer." So, I mean, really, when we went to the top, she had made more money. She agreed, said, "Okay, let's do this."
And back in that time, to get a mortgage license was even easier than
There
getting
wasn't a
real
mortgage license.
Exactly.
You just signed up.
You get a business card. I had mortgage salesperson business cards when I worked at Stout.
Oh, okay.
Never did anything with it, but I thought it was weird that the guy who was a baller was like, "Hey, let me make you some mortgage company business cards and you can make a shit ton of money." And I was like, "This feels weird. I'll just keep pouring drinks. Thanks." But yeah, so the industry was very different then than it is now.
Right.
So Jenny's making a shit ton of money as well.
Yeah. So I'd make 100 grand. She'd make 110. We're crushing it. And we're like, late 20s, early 30s.
Buying all the things.
Dude, yeah. Vacation. We went to Maine. We'd go to Florida. We went to Virginia Beach. The kids all have, Tommy clothes that were taking them to school in the convertible Mustang and the whole thing. And life was good. But just a mess on our finances. It was still, oh man, are you closing that? Are you getting that closed? Because this bill's got to get paid. And it was immaturity and foolishness on my part not to run the finances in my family so that my wife had a comfortable life, or we had a comfortable life. And it's all, you walk the path and you learn the lessons. So,
or you continue walking the path until you learn the lesson.
Right. So fast forward from that 1996 to a year and a half ago, we were statewide real estate. And there was times that people said, because we were known in the community, oh, we want to get into real estate. And we'd bring them in and we'd train them. And we have literally trained some of the best agents in the county.
I did not know this.
Yes. Tracy Drayton was doing like $5 million in sales, and Lori Sider had come in with us. Judy DeBello and Kathy Starren and Patrick Link and my sister Danielle, who's passed, came into real estate, and we were, it was fun. We weren't the Michigan group, which is now Remax.
Yes.
So they've got 200 agents, we've got 12, but we were having fun and doing our thing. And the people that we did train, because we were selective, were very productive. But then this new company came into town, who you're with now.
Keller Williams.
Yeah. And they were, man, that was the rage. That was like when Remax came in, Keller came in, and Rick Smith came in and just took 5 of our agents. It was like, this is the next best thing.
Now, was Rick an outsider when he came in, or did he come from a local brokerage? Or do you know? Maybe you don't.
So Rick was part of the Michigan group.
Okay.
They had a falling out. I don't know all the details to it, so I can't say this is from a distance. Because again, at that time I was just working. I didn't pay attention. I did my thing. But they had a falling out between the whole crew that was the Michigan group at that time. And Rick had the same pill that we took, right? He went, said, I'm gonna do this on my own. He picked out the right franchise, and he had the personality to go talk to people and bring them into his office.
He did. I had many conversations with him when he was alive.
Yeah, very charming, very just
compelling.
That guy, compelling. Yeah, that's a good word. And so that was my first dose of the real medicine, right? I had got these people. I had spent all this time and brought their production up, and I didn't do it for them. They did it. I just showed them the path. And then in a week, 5 people bailed.
They left.
And we were 12. So my company was cut in half, and I thought, my dad was right. My dad was right. We don't need to babysit.
Well, and how do you not take that personally? I think about, I get fired by clients sometimes, and it always hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do the right behaviors.
Right.
And I get it. There's an ass for every seat. And sometimes I'm not the seat for your ass.
Right.
Sorry, it's one of my favorites. It also takes the edge off of the, why not? Why not me?
Right.
So to have your people leave to go to the next shiny flag.
Right.
After you've taught them how to kick ass.
Right.
How do you do that? Without letting the door hit them in the ass on the way out.
It does.
As they say.
It happens. Sally didn't talk to me for a year when I left Better Homes and Gardens. It's a personal thing. But just over time, you just figure out that, okay, wasn't right for them, wasn't right for me. No hard feelings. Let's move on. Completely. And we're still going to work within the real estate community, regardless of the flag that hangs out front of our door.
Yes.
So,
and over time, you find out that, I don't know, it seems like everybody tries every flag at some point in their career.
Yep.
I'm going to take a moment to just tell this dumb story. When my first brokerage was Coldwell Banker Town and Country in Brighton. Terry Gill, my agent, his wife, Karen Gill, the owner. Loved Karen. She was my mentor. When I left, I couldn't understand why she seemed so mad at me, right? Like I was so small thinking, didn't really have any context outside of myself. The longer I'm in this industry, the more I realized what I really learned from Karen. Yep. And I totally get her perspective. Like
In the time she spent with you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. That I couldn't see while I was there.
Right.
It's, you know.
We're still buddies. I'm just working someplace else.
Well, yes, absolutely. You know what this is?
No, we're not. I just spent 2 years,
Yes.
30 hours a week answering your questions.
Turning you into who you are.
And now you left.
And there you go.
Yeah.
This is like understanding why your parents were the way that they were once you start having kids of your own.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Anyway, that's a total rabbit trail, but
Yep.
I felt it needed to be said.
Yeah. So, so anyhow, they had a falling out. Rick found the next best flag and zeroed right in on it and just clobbered him. And there was 2 decades where the Michigan group just ran the county for a decade. Now there was this fierce real estate agent war between the two of them, which was kind of cool because it didn't make it where the Michigan group was just clobbering us. It divided them in half and let them have their little battle so that we could sit on the sidelines and do what we do and not worry about it.
I love that.
But then Rick ran out of agents to recruit. So then, he looked at our office and like I say, 5 at a time, boom, gone. And it hurt. And I thought, well, my dad was right. I'm just a good real estate agent. We'll just keep our flag as what it is and sell houses versus try to recruit agents and do our thing.
So where are we now in time?
So, my kids are grown. My oldest is 26, Jacob. My daughter Ariana is 23, and my youngest is 18. And they've all, they've got this thing built in their heart and mind that this is the family company. And
are they doing real estate too?
Jacob's licensed.
Okay.
Ariana doesn't have a whole lot of interest. Caleb has been learning the accounting for the office. And then I've been showing him in part, involving him in some of the property management stuff that I do with our rentals.
And you're talking about, this is where we are right now.
Yes.
So what I have historically is 3 years with Sally Witt, 4 to 6 at Remax. You throw out your own shingle.
Yep.
You got about a 15-year or so time frame.
1996, we opened statewide real estate
And
through today.
When did KW come in, steal your agents?
Oh, that had to been
5 years deep? How long were you running?
Yeah, probably 7 years deep. So 2003, 2004.
Okay.
Ish.
And now we're at 2022, so we've got still a fair chunk of time. So you're just like selling real estate.
Just 2 decades.
Yeah. So all this time you're just doing your thing. Maybe
doing my thing.
Not heavy recruiting.
Nope.
If an agent shows up at your door, you might entertain it.
I've had
You're selling houses.
24 agents come through, who thought they'd try it and dabble, and it's not for everybody.
And now a year and a half ago, you got rid of that statewide brand. Well, you didn't get rid of the statewide language, but that franchise.
So our franchise from 96 through a year and a half ago was just an office up north with a logo. There was not a whole lot more to them. They would have an awards banquet, but you had to go up north. They were in Escanaba. Great, wonderful people. Amazing. But there just wasn't everything provided. And so with the kids saying, we're looking at the family business, we're proud of you, we're proud of what you've developed within our community, we think we may want to have some part in it. Where do I go from here? What is the legacy? And for me to develop a real estate brokerage, I needed, and I've had the experience because I watched Remax come, I've watched Keller come. I needed to figure out what the next big thing, the next wave was going to be. And so I started calling around to franchises. And that's how I landed on Next Home.
So who did you consider? This is morbid curiosity. You can't do Remax? Well, you probably could.
A year and a half ago. So all I did is Google search all the real estate franchises, and then I went on to the franchising stats so that you could see what the growth rate was. Because they even have them today, and you can see the decline in offices in some franchises like Century 21, Even some Remax is shrinking.
Yeah.
Keller still has some growth, but they've pretty much tapped out because they're everywhere.
What about EXP as a contender? Berkshire showed up in that time frame.
I'd have to look. I wouldn't want to just willy-nilly throw something out.
No, I'm just wondering who made the cut for careful consideration.
There was 3 based on growth, and then I would call the corporate office and look at response time. So the only one that I called, and within an hour I had a call back from somebody on their corporate team, was Next Home. Everybody else was just, we'll get back to you when we do. And then here's an email with some junk. Next Home was, we called back. We had several conversations. They took literature about their corporation, about their franchise, and had express mailed it to me so that I had it in hand. They wanted to show the quality of their product that they're providing, and you can only do that with having it in hand. And I was like, oh, this needs to be considered. And I didn't, I've been doing this for, what is it, like 32, 33 years now. So it's a huge decision. Nobody wants to make a change, but everybody wants success.
Yes.
So it was a very, very careful consideration. Another one was Real Estate One Group that I started to buy into a little bit. And I was like, oh, these guys look really good, except they're not in Michigan. Well, if I bring them into Michigan, I can go strong.
So wait a minute. Real Estate One has a competitor called Real Estate One Group.
Yeah, ROG.
So that sounds annoying to me.
So they're not in Michigan because Real Estate One filed suit and blocked them.
I think legitimately so.
Yeah. And then I started, looking up the CEO and what's his background. And there was just some shady things in the past. And I thought, I don't want to get tied to this. It was another, we'll discount the franchise fees. We'll give you all the shiny objects, but we're going to pound you to recruit. Well, I'm a real estate salesperson.
Yeah.
I can recruit and I will recruit, but I don't want to be told what and when to do and how high to jump. And there was another one that was like red, white, and blue with a little house symbol, and they had pretty good traction, pretty good growth, but it was having the experience of my old franchise. I kind of felt, okay, they're on that line. So again, coming back to Next Home, immediately responded. Several vice president, marketing, had reached out to me. And then finally I had actually an interview where they figured they were interviewing me, but I put the screws right to the CEO of Next Home. And this guy, his parents sold real estate and he sold real estate.
Similar trajectory.
Yep. And then I started to look on YouTube and do some background of who this guy is. And he's a real estate guy out in California, but he's, he would speak at the Michigan Association of Realtors, and he was tapped into some of the tech stuff, and they developed it for Michigan Association of Realtors. And then he linked up with a guy who was a Keller guy out in California who came from nothing. And he's also a vice president of Next Home, and he ran a 100-person team. And then they grabbed another lady who was out of Texas who was a prior Keller agent. And these groups, not to compare one to the other, but they came together and said, okay, this is what had happened at that franchise. How do we improve it? How do we cut the costs and give more value? And that's exactly what they did. But they kept the culture,
The pieces that work.
the core,
Yeah.
and it's a chin up and let's go. And they just improved it.
Yeah, you take what works and refine it to work better.
Cut the costs, make it better. Yep. And keep the culture and the core values. And that really is what Next Home is. The owner, the actual main franchise guy, because they're out in California, is a tech guy. So they've got a whole team developed, put together on their corporate staff for tech. They're developing their own software gadgets and gadgets and all that stuff. I don't pretend to know what it is.
So if we are going back to your story, because as much as I love that you love the brokerage brand that you chose,
Yeah.
I'm more interested to hear how has your business shifted.
Right.
Just because from the outside, I could say that you went from being next home or from being statewide to being next home.
Yep.
And how is that different? Like, why should I care?
Okay.
Ooh, you got a different logo. It's orange now.
Yes. Right. No big deal.
So consumer facing, what's the difference? How are you running your business different?
So let's go back to chart the course.
Yeah.
Kids say, we might want to be involved in the family business. Phase one is to have something from a franchise level that's saleable to agents on the ground. I know I've sold houses for 32 years. I know what I need on the ground to support me with regard to marketing, signs, cards, training, all these things.
And these are tools that allow you to deliver the best possible product for your end user, for your client.
Yep.
Okay.
And they give me the most efficiency so that my time isn't consumed solely selling real estate, right? Because I raise a family. I will have grandkids coming up. I'm still concerned about my time. So I want to be super efficient and do it the best that I can. So kids say we may want to be involved. That means I'm going to have growth and continue on. I can't just
keep being the real estate.
Keep slinging houses.
Yes.
It doesn't make them involved unless they choose to do that path. So that's beside the point. So first step is to have a franchise that I can have growth with. Step two is we're getting ready to build this building. I had watched, again, the Michigan group, got a lot of respect for those guys. Business-wise, they built this great big building. They put in a title company. They put in a mortgage company.
Is this the Remax building on Grand River?
Yep. So it was the Michigan group. Now it's Remax.
And hold on. Michigan group, Rick leaves.
Yep.
The remainder goes Remax. Rick opens KW.
Right.
So you've watched all of this unfold.
Yes.
And now you're staring down, making these same decisions for yourself.
Yes. So, life goes on, the world changes, our county changes, and I'm watching people age out, and I'm in this weird spot where I started at 18 and now I'm 50 with all this knowledge going, wait a minute, I've watched them do this. Let me chart a course. So kids want to get interested. I decided to pick up this franchise. Who is the next wave? I'm watching offices open all over Michigan and dot the map. So, and I had watched it across the nation as I was interviewing them, getting ready to sign up. So we nailed the franchise. Great group. Now it's to develop this building, which is, we're like 3 years into it. 60 grand in permits, and I've got silt fence up because it's just a hugely laborious task.
With a fair amount of red tape.
Massive. Yeah. You have to go to the state. You have to go to the county. There's like 3 different divisions within each. You're working with engineers and excavators and architects and water and sewer. And I mean, it's a massive undertaking. If there was anything available to purchase, at certain times I've even stopped during this process to go, what can I buy? And I look at the market and there's nothing to buy. And I know what I want.
Yeah.
I want a real estate campus. I want something that's set up, private offices for agents. I want insurance, title, mortgage, all in-house. And then I want that, kind of a training center or get-together center, all right on a main road where there's tons of traffic.
You've got the vision. If it's crystal clear, often you have to build it.
Chart the course.
Yes.
So we get the franchise. We're working on building the building. And then during the interim, running around, I shouldn't say running around, but trying to develop relationships and recruit to have growth.
This is a shift.
Yes.
You're no longer guy looking for the next door to knock on.
Yep. I don't have the little dinghy with the single sail. All of a sudden I've got, I'm trying to build an armada.
Yeah. I like that word, armada.
So last year, I think we brought in, I shouldn't say brought in. With me, it's always been, I've always hated the team word, right? Team. That's a canned thing. Everybody sells. And I'm like, okay, I've got to go with it. But I never say anybody works for me. That's very important. That's that
Same mentality
Randy
over
Clark
here.
thing, right? Hey, you paid all my bills last year.
Oh, yeah.
No, we all work together. So we had 5 or 6 people join us last year. And
Why do you think that is? Did they come to you? Did you call them?
I had been cultivating relationships. Again, they didn't know me, and I never asked them to come in the past. So I've started to develop these relationships, let my personality come through, let them see who I am, check out my humility, my integrity, fire away. You know, this is who I am.
Yeah, you're showing people what you're up to.
Yes. Yeah. And they're like, we get it. We like it. We like you. We like your family. And we like the group, the team. So let us be part of it.
So let me just tell you, and this is a dumb side conversation. Again, they're my favorite places to go are the rabbit trails. I have spent countless hours trying to find another word for team and meeting. Right. And like, it's tough. Yeah. Like you could call it a cohort, or you could call it so many not quite right words. Right. But yeah, so.
Darn, Erin McKenzie already stole it. It's a tribe.
It's a tribe, but she didn't steal it. Ryan Stuman was doing that before Erin McKenzie
really?
did. Yeah, but everything is a stolen idea, right?
Absolutely.
So, hey, I'll put this out there. If you've got a better way to say that, if you could just throw it our way, that'd be amazing. I hope I'm looking at the right camera. Oh, maybe not. That one? Yeah, okay. There we go.
I don't know that I've looked at the camera once on this whole thing.
You got a different camera. Look at that one. Is he doing it right?
What's
no. Well, we're not here to look at it anyway. Right. Okay, so now you're recruiting. Yep. 5 people have, one way or another, showed up on your radar. Yep. The conversation is had. They're like, we believe in your vision and what it can provide for our families or whatever legacy they're building for themselves.
Yeah.
And where are you at now?
So with that, in my experience, I just came through like 3 days of sitting down, going through contracts. As we go through the contract, some of the things that I've faulted on is not showing people the path. I've spent a lot of time in like small Facebook group and with my agents showing them the path on how to develop these relationships. If you want to do what Aaren does, this is what Aaren does.
Yes. What is the contract? What are you talking about?
The agent contract.
Oh, okay.
Most
contract
people get them done
agents
by the end of December, and here I am in January. So we pulled last year's production. We looked at where their deals came from. We looked at their strengths and their weaknesses. We went through the 5 spheres of influence for the relationships.
What are those? To a listener who might not know.
All right. So
Rachel who might not remember.
Heard it 100 times, but so my 5 spheres of influence, first of all, are a personal sphere.
These are your friends
and family. Yep. Secondly is your professional sphere.
So people you have worked with in the past, former coworkers.
Nope.
What is that?
That's your lender, your attorney, your accountant,
others in the industry. Oh.
Your
sphere of professionals.
Right. If I'm, going to pay a guy to record a podcast, have I ever asked him if he knows anybody thinking of buying or selling?
Rob, do you know anybody who needs to buy or sell a home?
I do.
Oh, we'll talk
Great,
after.
Rob. Yeah, I'll give you a card when we're done.
I'll arm wrestle Aaren for that conversation.
Can we do that live on the air?
Yes, I've been working out, so just so you know.
I know.
This will be a real
75 hard, you're going to put his ass on the ground.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, can we do a walk-off instead? I'm doing a lot of walking. Anyway.
So, personal sphere.
Yes.
Professional sphere. The other thing is, and I may or may not have these in order as to how I've trained before, but the third thing is the gear.
The gear? What? Oh.
Your gear, right? You've got jackets, you've got hats, you've got shirts. Yes, the merch. Yeah, I call it gear. It's anything that presents to the public without me saying a word that I'm in real estate.
So walking around with your name tag on or having your logo on your stuff.
Let's go grocery shopping.
So
Let's go to Home Depot.
And you're calling this a sphere because it's an impression on the community?
It is a means to develop a lead for somebody who may want to buy or sell.
So true. I sold a house from a guy who I met at the bar. I was there to watch a fight.
And
what? Really?
Right. Amen. That's just the way it works. And when you know how it works for 30 years, you do what works.
Yeah.
So I may walk into Home Depot and be shopping for a lockbox. And I'm asking the guy where the lockboxes are. And he's going to look at my shirt and he's going to see that it says, obviously ours is very clear. It's Next Home.
Yes.
Which says I sell houses.
Next Home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a genius name.
Do you sell houses? As a matter of fact, I do. I didn't have to ask him. He picked it up.
You could literally.
He made the inquiry.
Yes. And you could literally run a bit. This is so dumb. Buy that lockbox, return it, come buy it again, return it. Like if you got no business, you can always find business.
Absolutely.
What's the next sphere?
So with that year, I call it a mini pitch, right? Hey, do you sell houses? Absolutely. Here, let me give you a card. I don't have a lot of time right now, but I would be happy to talk to you about buying or selling. Done.
Yeah, you made that connection.
Get their name and number. The next sphere is what I call a serving heart. So I may be passionate about housing, and I haven't, again, exposed myself to others who are passionate about underprivileged in housing. What should I do?
Are you asking me? Because
Yes.
I can connect you with Habitat for Humanity.
There you go.
They do amazing work in our community.
Right. And do you know any of the board members? Nope.
Oh,
But if I go serve, if I give them an hour a week, which is 4 hours a month, I have just exposed my personality and who I am to 8 people plus 10 people in the store. And they're asking me real estate questions and they're connected in the community, right? Oh, somebody wants to give us this lot. Can you take a look at this title description? Yeah, absolutely. Hey, this looks good. We can put a house on that. How do you know? And I blah, 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 blah. This is how I know. And all of a sudden they have a respect for me, the real estate broker. And guess what happens? Hey, my aunt's going to sell her house. Can you go over and take a look at it? I trust you.
it honestly goes a little deeper than that too, because I firmly believe that our activity in the community builds our community. So you are literally creating an environment that is one that you want to live in.
Right.
By giving to the community. I love it.
But I think it's time and knowledge and not money. I think too many people get tripped up on, well, I'm going to take 10% of this commission and give it to underprivileged children.
But you know what? All of it's necessary.
It is.
We need the money. We need the people.
is.
We need the expertise. We need the time. There's always a place for service, however you can, wherever you are right now. Right. Sometimes I don't have the money, but I do have the knowledge to share. Sometimes I have
the heart. The heart.
Serving heart. It's beautiful.
Yep. So I serve on the tax board. I can't tell you how many times through the tax board, because of the things that I've said to people, that they inquire with me at a later date based on my knowledge, my experience in real estate. They might not call me that minute. They might go look at my Facebook feed and then they see that I've been to 3 closings this month and I did a home inspection and I, live, eat, and breathe real estate. And they're like, that's the guy. Let's give him a call.
Back to letting yourself be known.
Yes.
What's our 5 sphere?
So number 5 is social media. What's up, guys? Aaren and Rachel here out at a condo. We're going to do a video.
Oh, we did that. Yeah.
So say what you do and do what you say, or vice versa, however you want to do it. It is not something that you need to be afraid of. I don't get in front of people and say, do you want to buy or sell a house? Do you want to buy or sell a house? Do you want to buy or sell a house? Come with me. I'm the best. Look at me. I've got the greatest franchise. Yeah. All I do is show people a little bit of my personality and what I do. And it could be with my wife, it could be with my kids, it could be with an agent. And people pick up on it and they're like, this guy's not going to sell me. Well, because I'm not going to sell them, they call me and guess what happens? I get to do my job. It's wonderful to wake up every day and have, 3 or 4 people inquire with you about real estate, never having to pay for a Zillow lead, never chasing Real Scout or, trying to do mailings or all da. You need to do this. These are the 5 things that create a career.
So that tends to serve as its own filter too. I find that I just wrote down 3 things. I'll read them to you. Okay. This is the theme, I feel like, of what we're talking about or what you're here to say. Yeah. And don't let me put words in your mouth, but I'm going to put words in your mouth and you tell me if they fit.
You got it.
Do what you say what you do. You literally just said that.
Yes.
And chart your course.
Right.
And let yourself be known.
Yes.
And I find that if you have these 3 pieces or whatever your version, maybe this isn't the language you use, but people who are not a good fit will filter themselves out. Yes. I had mentioned earlier how heartbreaking it is when a client fires me.
Yeah.
That's probably my filter's not working. We probably never should have gotten to that point anyway. I don't know about you, but 9 times out of 10 when that does happen, I wasn't feeling good about it either. Right. But I wanted to make it work because damn it, if I'm not going to succeed, and I know this is going to sound whatever it's going to sound like, but I know I'm the best person for the job. Mm-hmm. So even if it feels bad for whatever reason, I'm still going to advocate for my client and do all the things and protect you better than anybody else.
So I'll throw you for a curve.
Do it.
If you're being a real estate professional, we're all the best person for the job.
Yes.
It just may not be for that job. So don't waste time on that job. Find the job that is the right one.
And absolutely. I absolutely agree. Yeah. When you're close to it, it's difficult sometimes to see it. And my natural inclination, we're going down a rabbit trail, but in those situations, my inclination is I completely get it. Please let me plug you into somebody good.
Right.
Because, and I've said this before, real estate agents are a dime a dozen and most of them are no good.
Right.
Not because they're bad people.
No,
They're just
it's
not
the nature
good.
of the business.
It is.
You can get in for 40 hours and $50. Dude, you're a realtor.
You've got a license.
That doesn't make you a real estate professional. Hard work and time and effort, that makes you a real estate professional. You stick with it, do the right thing.
And minding your position in the game, like my fiduciary and legal obligation to the best interest of my client trumps everything else.
Right.
It's like, that's what I'm there to do.
Can I just say also that getting a real estate license doesn't make you a king or a god? It's, a lot of people get so, look at me.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, wrong.
Yeah.
No, you do make a lot of money and, crush it by all means, but it doesn't make you better than anybody else. We all do. It's just, we all do it for different people, but there's tons of people in this county and only 800 realtors. There's enough business for us all.
And now you're touching on something also that I'm passionate about. There really is an ass for every seat. Yep. Like and cliches, they're all true.
Yeah.
When we all win, we all win.
Yes.
Period.
It's just my seats are the best, most comfortable.
So what are we missing from your story? Is there anything that I didn't ask that you came here wanting to say or anything?
So how did you get from...
Oh, we're going to keep talking.
Yeah, being a bartender to where you are today? Because I remember my first vision of you was, who is this chick in Howell with his little white car that's got her name so big all over it?
Oh, my Lincoln. I loved that car.
That's what it was. Yeah, white with...
Yep.
Yeah.
With my name on it.
Yeah. So how did you get from being a bartender to selling, what'd you do last year? 12 million?
Right around there. Sure. You'd know better than I would.
There's only like
12-ish.
3 people that I pay attention to.
12-ish million. Sure.
It's just a competition thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That feels right. I never know which details are important. So the fast version is I got a bachelor's degree from Central Michigan University. I was going to be a teacher. I started teaching before I graduated because I got a full-time substitute gig teaching high school French in Owasso.
What year?
90. I graduated high school in 93, probably 96, 97.
Okay.
I would have to fact check that. It's
You were
a long
teaching?
time ago. Yes.
No way.
I taught high school.
Wow.
I taught French and English. I was on track to get a certification for journalism, speech, yearbook, French, and English. I was going to teach high school. I also got married, had my first kid, went to my interview for my student teaching position, which was all that stood between me and my diploma, my bachelor's. And I left that interview. I was supposed to student teach in Langsburg, Michigan. I was living in Perry.
Love it.
And I went home and I said, I can't put this baby in daycare. It's going to make me tear up because I was so clear. I was like, and I wasn't clear about a lot of things in my life at that time.
Yep.
But I was like, I got one shot to fuck this kid up.
I'm going to do it right.
And I can do the career piece anytime.
Right.
This is literally right.
Right.
So I was a stay-at-home mom.
Jenny and I had the same talk, which is
so hard.
why she babysat, because trying to develop my career, we needed to pay our bills, but we were absolute that we weren't sending our kids to daycare.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I did not know I didn't know that that was my position until I stood there in that moment and realized this was my choice.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I ended up graduating not with a teaching certificate. I went back later around 2002. I actually graduated in 2002. I went back and took so I have an insane number of credits behind my bachelor's degree because I couldn't get this teaching certificate.
And you have more than a bachelor's degree, don't you?
I do now, yes, but I'm a
what do you
lifelong
have?
learner. I have my master's degree.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
I got, yes. Really? Because I try and mention it all the time.
Really?
When I was getting my master's degree, I was in my master's program. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you have that.
I have a BS in real estate.
Right? Don't we all? Don't we all? So I got this cool gig waiting tables on the patio at Champ's Pub because my then husband, who's the father of my children, and one of my dearest friends, he's like my brother now, which sounds weird, but we get along so well. And I force that down people's throats because I think it's important to understand that you can part ways
And still be friends.
and still be, it's humanity, right? Let it shine through. It does magical things.
yeah. Jenny's parents do exactly that.
Yeah. Like we get together at each other's houses for birthdays. And anyway, that's another episode for another day.
Right.
So I'm working at Champ's Pub. I'm the patio girl. Eventually I work my way up to being the bartender. I love it. I'm good at it. It's hard work. It's evenings. So it starts to conflict with the raising of the children. So it's good because our kids aren't in daycare, but I'm the daytime parent. Their dad is the nighttime parent.
And you have a college degree.
I do.
Well, how does all three of those things struggle in your head?
They don't. It was because
you
it was my choice.
bartend, you're a stay-at-home mom,
Yes.
and you have a college degree.
Yes. But
It's like me serving a sandwich to somebody who last weekend I was
Showing their
talking
house.
real
Yeah.
estate with.
Yeah. It's, life is happening for us, not to us.
Right.
Even though it doesn't always feel like that.
Yeah,
Another cliche, like you never know the value of something shitty while you're in it.
right.
It started to feel shitty.
Yeah,
And my marriage fell apart. And I got real quickly into another marriage. This is only important because that marriage forced me to take on 2 additional jobs. So I too worked 3 jobs, and I'm not selling real estate yet. I'm still a really good bartender. I went across the street to Stout, worked there for a year.
right. Just in case anybody's interviewing agents,
Yeah.
at this time I'd already sold real estate for 12 years. Go ahead. No, I'm
Right.
just teasing.
No, and I'm bartending.
I'm just teasing.
With my bachelor's degree,
Right.
though, did I tell you I had that? So I also worked at Impulse in downtown Brighton. I got to give her a plug, Gail Sherman. She taught me so much, total accidental mentor. And that woman gave me a job because I showed up at her door and said, "Can I work for you?" And she said, "No, I don't need you." And I showed up again and I said, "Can I please work for you?" She said, "No, I don't need you and I can't afford you." And I showed up again and said, I did some modeling. I had a TV bit that I did, and I was wearing a brand that she sold. So I went to her store after that recording and I said, "I just did a gig in the pants that you're selling." And she was like, "Fine, I'll hire you."
It's awesome.
So yeah, from there I sold telecommunications at Verizon Wireless, and then I sold Comcast, and quickly realized that I could sell their product, but they couldn't deliver what I was selling.
Yeah.
I sold research lab supplies, made a shit ton of money, but hated it. It was almost like the universe put me, or God put me into the soul suckingest position so I could see
Yep.
what it looks like to make an ass ton of money and not be fulfilled because it didn't matter.
I missed that. That's one thing on one of the jobs that I missed.
What? Yeah, tell.
Something had happened where I didn't have a job, and I knew I had to support my family when we were living in the trailer. And my Jenny's stepsister had worked for a temp agency. She's like, "I got you a job. It's like $12 an hour," where everybody else was making $8 at that time.
Good money.
And I said, "I'll do it. I'll do what I have to do." And they sent me to a factory. And nothing wrong with the factory, It's for the right person. It's the right spot. But we went in, and I was moving plastic parts for like an hour and a half. And I was like, well, this isn't so bad.
Air quotes, easy.
Yeah. And the machine broke down. And I'm there for an 8-hour shift. Well, they weren't going to send me home, so they gave me a push broom. The factory's not that big. They said, just sweep for the rest of the day, and you're good. I went home and literally crushed into tears. Said, I can't do this. I have got to make it work in real estate.
Yeah.
I can't do it. If I'm going to spend time, pointless time, doing something, it's going to be that course.
Knock on the doors for $0.
Yes. Because it's not $0. It's knowledge every time.
Exactly.
Yep.
And ultimately, you end up with the right client and you do the job.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Having that failure it triggered that.
It's the catalyst.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Failure it's always a gift.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want it to be true any more than you do, but it's always a gift.
Right.
Like, yeah. So I went back to telecom. I think I sold everybody in Brighton their first BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
I was pushing text packages on parents for $5 a month. So that I was like, do you want to communicate with your kid? Like, This is how old I am.
So you created this whole thing with kids sharing photos over the internet.
Oh yeah, sure. No, but what I do feel that time in the trench did for me is it really plugged me into technology in a way that I really would have missed the ship.
Yeah.
I would have, but I was plugged into telecommunications on the back end. I had to learn things and new ways of being that were not what I grew up with. And then I sold Verizon Wireless Business Services, and the company this is what it felt like. The company I went back to was not the same company I had left.
Right.
And I fucking hated it. So I'm selling research lab supplies, soul sucking, feel like I'm going to go home and just have a better career in a different department at my old company. Still sucked.
Right.
So then I bought my house, and
there you go.
I remember walking into Karen Gill's office and sitting down and saying, wow, no, can I make $60,000 a year doing this? And mind you, this is a fantastical number to me.
Right.
I had made this amount of money before, but with the comfort of a salary and a 401k and all this stuff. So I decided that's where I would have to make it, a $60,000. This is my stretch goal.
Right.
And Karen said, the sky's the limit. Of course you can, but I can't guarantee that you will.
That's a fair answer.
She was fucking straight with me.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
awesome. Right.
So I quit my job because I got to stop saying this because I keep putting it out into my own future by saying it, but I am a person who succeeds when I go all in.
Take a risk.
Big risk.
We got to make it happen.
I painted myself into a corner where I would have lost everything.
Love it.
Unless I won.
Absolutely.
So I won.
Yep.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You know what nobody told me ahead of time?
What?
Every time you win, you get up wherever you are and you go, oh shit, there's more mountain.
Right. Oh, there's another mountain.
Yeah, another hill to climb. Awesome.
Yep. This was an amazing day. I really enjoyed it.
I can't thank you enough for coming and sharing your story.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
There are people out there who,
right.
Will get lit up by hearing what you did and what you're doing.
I hope so. If anybody needs to, and I'm sure you echo this, but, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to answer any questions on anything that I may know or could go to a resource to find out for you. So don't ever be afraid to reach out and just have a conversation.
And if you're comfortable with it, we can actually put your contacts in the show notes, links to your Facebook website. Sure. Whatever you want public, we will put it there.
I just put the word out. You know where to find me. I'm on Facebook and
that's Aaren, Aaren.
Right. Aaren.
Aaren.
Currie.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you. A couple of open books here. Can't thank you enough.
Right
and
on.
thank you guys for joining. I'll see you next week.
The info given is current as of this recording, but remember, the market changes and real estate is hyper local.